with that. Maverick, the mighty checking in. Maverick, the mighty checking in. Hello, everyone. What a beautiful day to stack sats. Could anyone comment on what Nostr is and perhaps how it works? Whew, I can do that. I love talking about Nostr. You know why I love talking about Nostr? Because I truly believe that Nostr today, oh, look at this. You guys want to see something cool? I know it's just a deer, but still, just walking down the road. Not many cares in the world for that deer today. Sounds like we need some predators in this area by the looks of that little casual stroll. So anyways, back to Nostr. I really believe that Nostr today is the equivalent of Bitcoin back in like 2014 in terms of the adoption, in terms of who's building in there, in terms of what's happening in the space that nobody really knows about at all. Like, it's truly incredible what's happening on Nostr right now, truly. And you can get into the censorship resistant aspect of it in terms of nobody can stop you on there. Nobody can deplatform you from Nostr. But the real thing for me, and I think that's going to be the real game changer. I mean, Matt Odell calls it an open API for the world to build on, because you don't need permission to use it. You don't need permission to build on it, which is really badass. But for most people like myself and probably you watching here, that's not really, you know, it's cool that you can use it without permission, but I don't think there's many builders who can just build a Nostr client. But you never know. I've been very surprised with the intelligence level of the community here. But anyways, I think the real game changer, and I don't think that people focus on this enough, but it's the micropayments. It's the zaps. I think that is the difference between that. That's what's going to bring people over. Nobody really cares too much. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people. I'd say like less than 0.5% of people who actually would be affected by the censorship aspect, who have been deplatformed, who have had their channel suspended or their stream suspended. Like, it's not many people. Most people just post pictures of their food and of their cats. But it's the Zap feature for me. So on there, just like, you know, we do on the show, just like Zapstream is actually built on Nostr, I believe. It's connected with in Nostr for sure. But the Zap feature, because as it is today, like, you look at Instagram, you look at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Substack, any of these platforms that people use to post on, I mean, what do you get out of it? Think about like the people who have large accounts on those platforms. I mean, yes, they make money off of like ads, but they still, in that sense, are owned by somebody. If somebody's paying you a lot of money to promote their product, you are essentially owned by them. They decide what you can and can't say. And if you say something that they don't like, your money's cut off. And that's a very poor way to approach things. And it's been like that for the last, decade probably, but that's not how it should be. Right. And so that's the current way. But then you think of somebody like me. Like, I don't have 50 million subscribers or 50 million followers on Instagram. So it's like I post something just to share, but I don't get anything from that. Right? People like the picture, maybe comment on it, maybe share it. But outside of that, like, that's just a complete illusion. That's just a dopamine hit for people. Whereas with Nostr, if I post something, whether it's a video, a picture, a long post form that you can do on there now, like a SUBSTACK, and somebody gets value from that, they can send value to me instantly without permission and without anybody else involved in there. And the current system just doesn't facilitate that. You can't send 2 cents to somebody, but you can send 20 sats to somebody. And for me, just going through this, and I've been on Nostr for almost 2 years now. I think my 2-year anniversary is in January. So that's what it is for me. It's like you can do that now. You can't do that. You can't send 2 sats, but you can't send 2 cents because the current system doesn't allow for it. There's too many people involved. There's too many people trying to get a piece of that 2 cents. But on Nostr, people can just send Bitcoin, send sats, 20 sats. Can't do that. You can't do that on traditional legacy. And a Zap is so much more meaningful both to receive and send than just a like or a comment on the traditional stuff. So I think that once people figure this out, nobody's really there yet. But I think it's going to be somebody like, I don't know, Kid Rock. Let's say Kid Rock joins Nostr, and he starts to see some traction there. He's getting some Bitcoin, but you know, it's going to be somebody like Taylor Swift, because if you think about her audience, right? Think about Taylor Swift. Let's say that instead of posting to Spotify, where Spotify takes like 98% of it, or posting to YouTube, or posting to Instagram, where she gets literally nothing from it. Let's say she posts onto Nostr. She posts her brand new song. Nobody else has heard it. It's premiere debut on Nostr. Think about how many people follow her. Let me check. Let's do some very objective, basic math here. Oh, my phone's about to die. I'm horrible at charging my phone. I always leave my charger downstairs. Okay, well, I guess my internet's just, Taylor Swift doesn't exist anymore. Can't search her. Maybe she got deplatformed today too. Taylor Swift. Okay, she has 283 million followers. I was going to guess like 50. 283 million followers. Okay, so let's just think about this. How many sats are in one Bitcoin? 100 million. So let's say that every one of those fans, when she dropped her new song, every one of those fans dropped one sat. One sat. Fraction of a penny worth, but one sat. She makes one Bitcoin from dropping a song. If every one of her fans, her followers, sent in one sat for the song, that's 2.83 Bitcoin just for dropping one song. But think about the ones who drop 50,000 sats or 500,000 sats, or her crazy psychotic Swifties. Maybe they drop 1 million sats on the song. Like, and then you think about that in the grand scheme of how many Bitcoin actually exist. Like, it's only a matter of time before that happens. That's the cool part. That's why I call it like the Bitcoin in 2014. That's where we are today, because they're not there yet, but they're coming, because it just makes so much sense. So then, I mean, that's Taylor Swift. And then you think about the other end of that, where it's like Maverick. Let's say Maverick has a band in his small town. And do you know how long and how many steps and how many hoops you have to jump through to actually start earning money in the current system as an artist? And then by the time you get there, you get like pennies on the dollar, if that. Whereas they just start building an audience and a following on Nostr. And every time they drop a new song, maybe they get 1 million sats. And they don't have to ask anybody's permission. They don't have to hit a certain amount of watch hours. They don't need a certain amount of subscribers to get that. If there's people, if their fans are on there and they're willing to send in, if they're getting value from it, they want to send some back, it's possible now. So that, I think that's going to be the big thing for Nostr. And that's why, you know, you should be, and that's just one aspect of it, right? I talk about the middleman too, but we don't need to get too far into it today. We got other stuff to talk about. But anyways, moral of the story, if you're not on Nostr yet, definitely take some time over the next month, holiday season, just explore, just play around a little bit. I got several videos on my channel talking about Nostr and how to get started. It's very simple, very, very, very simple. So maybe I'll do another Nostr video sometime. Daniel says, for reaching hardcore Bitcoiners, it's the place to be. If Gary Vee hadn't lost his mind to shitcoins, he'd be there in a big way. Oh my God, no doubt. Gary Vee, that's his big thing. And that's what, you know, when I was following Gary Vee, that was the one thing that made so much sense to me, was the find undervalued attention, which means that if you consider the creators and you consider the consumers, the people who consume the info and people who create the info, you want to find a place where there's not a whole lot of creators, but there's a lot of consumers. And that's kind of what Nostr is right now. And as we go along here, that gap's going to grow. But the cool thing for me is like anybody can be a creator on there. That's what I love about it. And I really encourage you, even if you're thinking like, well, I'm not on Nostr, I don't have anything to add to add a value to people. That's such a bad way to look at it. I just encourage you, just do it for a while. You don't have to join Nostr, you don't have to do anything, but like whatever you do in a day, you go to work, play with your dog, eat some food, you cook some food. You are learning stuff on Bitcoin, just stop and think like what I'm doing right now, would anybody else get value from this? Just take some pictures throughout the day at your job, and you'd be very surprised by the amount of people who could learn from that or would get value from that. An example, a guy on Nostr yesterday, he shared a recipe of these sourdough buns that he made. He might be watching the show, I don't know. But he shared his recipe of how he made these buns. He shared a picture of it, what his kids said about them, some tips for doing that. Like you don't have to do anything crazy. Just post something that you think somebody out there might get value from. And if they don't, who cares? It doesn't cost you anything to do that. It's free. So just play around on there.